If you want to do something, whatever you want to do, be relentlessly patient.
This is the story of Joe Tutino. Growing up, Joe was inspired by pro sports and began broadcasting on the air. Initially, he launched the Jim Rowe Show, then moved into directing multiple programs, and later became the voice of the LA Galaxy. But how did Joe find success? And so today he shares how to cultivate a strong mindset, the challenges of sports radio, and the reality of commenting since the dawn of the MLS. What was life like growing up for you?
I grew up in the 70s and 80s in Southern California. I was this little round goalkeeper, but played 11 years. I was just not physically fit enough. And I said if I couldn't play, I wanted to write about him or at least talk about him. While I was in broadcasting school, I picked up my first job, turned into the first sports station on the West Coast. It was probably not the right decision, but it worked out.
Before working for the Galaxy, what was the most challenging part about your journey?
Before working for the Galaxy, I was kind of a pig in mud. We made a lot of mistakes, but we were all young guys. I was doing something that I loved. Waking up at dark 30 and going to bed about a half hour before that was okay because I was talking sports. I was doing things that nobody else was doing. The challenge was learning how to get it right with no directions. We were sports radio for Southern California. In any other market, you go to Chicago and do that, it would fail because they want to hear only about Chicago stuff or Boston. But we had to reverse that. And we learned that early enough to be successful because if you don't get the format right early enough, you're gone.
What was the reality of commenting the first ever MLS match, the New York Metro Stars, the Galaxy? You expected 30K, you got like basically 70,000 fans.
Danny Villanueva, who was one of the owners of the LA Galaxy, I was sitting right next to him in the PA booth at the Rose Bowl, and we were talking. I said, what do you expect? And he said, well, we expect about 30,000. And the whole stadium was really tarped off to fit 30,000. And that was the whole model back then before soccer-specific stadiums came about. And that particular night, the fans started marching in. We started seeing security people helping fans pull some tarps off certain sections, but it was incredible.
What does a typical day look like?
I'm used to being busy. When I was part of the sports radio industry and being the voice of the Galaxy at the same time, waking up 3:15, getting to the radio station and going on the air at 6 a.m. till 10. Then I would be meeting with my staff, each individual show along the way, taking care of my programming, working with the promotions department, working with my sales department. Then the Galaxy was kind of intertwined in my schedule. As the week would progress, there'd be more Galaxy information. I'm on the air daily doing their play-by-play. Come game day, it's a drive up to Dignity Health Sports Park. I get there 4 hours before game time, get set up, writing out lineups because I like to have brain muscle memory of what's going on. For a Saturday night, usually that game prep begins on Wednesday when I start taking a look at the other team, results, standings, game notes when they come out. In a couple of hours, you're able to have the game come to you.
Commentating on a match is like storytelling. It's like telling a book. Sometimes fans tend to get annoyed when they don't like how it's told. In terms of the evolution since you started to now, what have you learned to become a better commentator?
Repetitions make you better in anything you do. Doing a game on television is different than doing a game on radio. I think the TV broadcast is more of a presentation of the game to intertwine with the pictures. When you're doing a game on radio, it's about painting the picture. Your audience is blind and you have to paint the picture of what's going on. And that means where the ball is, who's off the ball, who's making the runs, who's defending on the play, which on television that would not be necessarily the case. Some broadcasters do pick it up as the game gets closer to the goal. For example, on the Hispanic side, they're on the game all the time. And some people find that more exciting. But at the end of the day, it's like your favorite shoe. Somebody might like this particular shoe and somebody might like that particular shoe. The goal is to be a shoe that somebody likes.
I know you met a lot of different people throughout your entire career, but if there's someone that comes to mind that you'll never forget meeting.
In terms of somebody who made me a better person, it would be Tony Gwynn, who played for the San Diego Padres, was probably the greatest hitter of his generation. Tony never said no. Throughout his career, anytime I asked Tony to do something, he never said no. When I say Tony Gwynn was my best friend, it's not that it's exclusive. He was such a good person. Any other person would probably say the same thing. It's sad for me because I had to be the person reporting his passing when his agent called me that day on June 16th. There are a few people in life that are excellent on the field of play, but are also excellent off the field. And Tony Gwynn is that guy. And he taught me how to carry myself, continue to strive to be better every single time. Even if you had a good one yesterday, how to be better tomorrow. At the very worst, try to match it. He's a very special man, very special player, but he's one of a kind. They don't make him like that.
Jumping into the LA Derby, what are your thoughts about it?
Prior to the LA Derby, when Zlatan came to the Galaxy, at some point he's going to catch a goalkeeper off his line and beat him from distance. I can see that happening. David Beckham did it with the Galaxy. And I think guys that are that special, they go to goal so quickly that if you're not at that level, you're going to get embarrassed. But sure enough, I didn't expect it to happen in the very first game. That particular particular day and the Galaxy's in a heap of trouble trying to make a comeback. He gets on and he beats the goalkeeper. Then he scores another goal and the Galaxy go on to win that game. I think the way that story was written could not have been any better. The most historic rivalry in the league, to me, it's Galaxy San Jose for a number of different reasons. Geographically, Los Angeles, started by the Dodgers and the Giants, that's been there forever. The NFL, Rams and 49ers, Lakers and Golden State Warriors, Kings and San Jose Sharks, LA Galaxy and San Jose Earthquakes. No surprise there. Historically, players that have played on both teams, Landon Donovan started in San Jose, ended it with the LA Galaxy, but there are other players that went on to do well with San Jose. Brian Ching could not make it with the Galaxy, turned out to be one of the greatest scorers in Major League Soccer during his career. There's so many storylines between those two. This rivalry, it already has incredible storylines that are built into this short history. When it becomes a decade old, without a doubt, I think it will become that.
If you were to compare European versus American football, soccer culture, what do you like most about each one that they bring?
I think we are a bunch of different styles, depending on what stadium you go to. We haven't really figured it out, whereas you go to Italy, Spain, England, and you know where you are, and each particular stadium, you know where you are. We're getting there. What I love seeing now, we have 3 generations of fans that are part of the LA Galaxy family. Culturally, we're still turning the wheel. As we tape this interview today, the U.S. team is playing Guatemala in the semifinals of the Gold Cup. According to the announcers, it's 90% Guatemalan. The fans in St. Louis, which is considered by many the birthplace of American soccer. That's kind of embarrassing to me, but we're still not quite there. On the women's side, we have it done. But on the men's side, we're still trying to find our way. And that means we need to punch through on the field and to teach everybody what we want it to be. And we're still not there yet.
I've heard you say that you call yourself a bulldog. You talk about being relentless, and what does it mean to you, and how have you developed that relentlessness mindset?
The bulldog nickname came from Jim Rome. Jim Rome and I were partnered together and created the Jim Rome Show. It was a blessing for me because he and I had the same work rate. In the early days of sports radio, it was about the biggest guests you can get on the air, or do whatever you have to do to get them on the air. One night along the way, Jim said, Joe's like a bulldog, he'll run through a brick wall to get to anything. But I was too afraid to fail.
Sometimes people have like a ritual or routine that helps them get settled, feel calm, confident. But for you, how do you personally deal with the pressure, the anxiety, emotions of covering a match, essentially?
Well, on a home game, I like to just get up and walk around the stadium. That's one of my routines. I like the day to come to me. I think the biggest mistake we make along the way, over preparing. And I know somebody said, well, you can never prepare enough. Sometimes you do. You over prepare and then all of a sudden you missed the match. And to me, it's about preparing enough, talking to the people you need to talk to, and then just get up, clear your head, walk around the stadium. And usually that's about 2 hours before game time. I'll say hi to the concessions people. And if I really have some time, I'll try to go out to the tailgate and thank the fans for being there that particular night. Again, show your appreciation for them being there. And I think that's also part of the flavor. You pick up the flavor of what that's going to be that particular night. And then I'll come back in and I'll meet with my technical crew, answer any questions they might have. We'll do a voice check and get the countdown in my ear and we're underway.
What was like the biggest mistake, failure you've like overcome your entire career, and what do you recommend for someone going through a tough time in their life?
When my father passed away in 2005, obviously a very difficult time, I got connected to a group that was going to be broadcasting the World Cup in Germany on the radio side. And at that time, our family was going through a very difficult time. And I'm the caretaker to my mom. And she doesn't speak any English at all. She speaks only Italian. I ended up getting to a point where I said, I'm not going. This is not going to work out. I'm not going to go. I don't know if that's a regret or not. I think I made the right decision ultimately because I believe in loyalty and I believe in doing the right things. And I believe in the badge of honor that I have on behalf of my father to take care of business and be his legacy. And I think when you go through difficult times like that, life-changing moments, it's very hard to find focus on things that are trivial. When you lose somebody that you love, that you are part of, you are them. Careers and other things, you don't focus on those things. Even though you're trying, there's a lot of other things that are pulling at you. And so I think at that particular time, I was only able to mourn my dad when we were on the road, on an airplane or in a hotel room, because otherwise nobody would have got through it.
Speaking of loyalty, you've been loyal with the Galaxy. Why the Galaxy? Can you briefly just share, what do you appreciate most about the club?
I've been blessed to work for this club and call 6 of their championships, but they've been with me ever since. When I walk into the stadium, that is home to me. And so it's going to take a lot for me to go somewhere else. And if I had gone somewhere else, then I would not have had a chance to call the 6th title. I just been very lucky they've had my back along the way. That's my second family.
What is your one piece of advice you'd tell someone if they want to work in pro sports?
If you want to do something, whatever you want to do, do. Be relentlessly patient. You have to know when you know what hits the fan, when you're on the microphone, how to handle it. And we've had broadcasts where everything would go wrong. When Zlatan Ibrahimovic scored his 500th goal, we were in Toronto, it's raining, half of our broadcast crew is out of Los Angeles, and somewhere along the way, I don't hear my producer anymore. I finally texted him, I said, "Are you trying to talk to me?" And he texts me back, he goes, "Yes." And we lost communication. And then he confirmed we're still on the air in terms of letting us know when there are replays or when I needed to have a read. It was all done via text. When the monitor would do something else, we cued to that. And it's not uncommon. We were superheroes on the night. And young people who are inexperienced are going to wet their pants. When you have a $50 million radio station on your shoulders as a program director, you need to know that somebody knows how to handle the situation.
A huge thanks to Joe, as he wishes you the best with sports broadcasting. And please drop a like on the video, because if it wasn't for him, this video wouldn't be possible. But if you want to see more, I just released an interview with the former head athletic trainer for Real Salt Lake.